Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to the Frontend Machine Coding series. In this episode, we're building a smart auto-suggestion search bar in React, just like the one you see on Google. You'll learn how to handle user input, add debouncing, filter suggestions in real time, and make it fully keyboard accessible. If you're preparing for front-end interviews or just sharpening your UI skills, this machine coding challenge is a must. So let's dive in to the code. Okay. So I'm in google.com now, and as you can see there's a search bar. So what I'll do is I'll just type something here. Let's say I'm typing JavaScript. Okay, so can you see something here? When I'm typing JavaScript here, I'm getting a lot of suggestions here, right? Like JavaScript online compiler, JavaScript tutorial, etc. So as you can see here, when I'm typing something in the search bar, I'm getting a lot of suggestions simultaneously. So this is what is called an autocomplete search bar, or in some cases it is also called a type ahead component. So this is what we will be building today. Okay, so let's jump into the editor. Yeah, so as you can see here, when you will be given a problem statement to implement an autocomplete or a type ahead component, the first thing that you should do and ask your interviewer is from where you would get the data. So it might be a mock data or a API URL or something else. So you need to clarify with your interviewer that what would be the data, like should you make a mock data by yourself or the interviewer will provide it to you, or is there any backend API URL from where you will consume the data and render it. So the first 5 to 10 minutes you'll have to ask and clarify every question that you have regarding this component. And in this kind of an interview you might get 40 to 45 minutes or maximum 50 minutes to implement it. Okay, so I'll just try to implement it and explain it to you in this 40 to 45 minutes, so bear with me. And obviously see my thought process. I'll explain you on the way, and obviously I'll make some mistakes as well, but I'm just trying to educate you and make you understand what happens in an interview and like how should you approach the problem to solve it. So let's jump into it. Yeah, so the first thing what I'll do is obviously I'll need an input element. So yeah, I'll just start off with an input element. So I'll take a div. I'm taking a div. I'm taking a div here. Yeah. Yes, I'm taking a div here. Okay. Okay, then I'll take an input component here. The type would be text. Okay, the type would be text, and I'll take I'll take a class name here. Class name here, let's say I'll name it search input. Okay, and then okay, it looks nice, but obviously I'll have to style it a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll come here, I'll write, okay, let's remove this first. I don't need this thing. Okay, no issues. Okay, I'll write search input. Okay, then I'll provide a width, for example, let's say 400 pixel. Yeah, this looks nice. Okay, I'll provide a padding here, 5px. So I'll take the width as 400 pixel and padding as 5 pixel. Okay, then what I'll do is I have to first take use state. I'll take a list, I'll say results set results, sorry, set results and use state, I'll take an array. Why I'm taking an array? Because it's a list. When I'll type something here, it will, you know, provide a list. So that is why I'm taking an array. Okay. So after taking an array, so first what I did is I took an input and then I took a use state, you know, the results array. Okay. So obviously when I'm just initializing it, then what I have to do is I'll have to, you know, fetch a data, right? I have to fetch a data. Okay, so what I'll do is I will let's say const fetch data. I'll take a fetch data method. Obviously it will be async, and then I'll take a data and await fetch, and obviously I have to provide a URL here, right? So what I'll provide here is so I'll take a API from a platform called dummy.json. So I'll type it out, dummy https dummy.json. I'll just copy it from somewhere. I'll just copy, okay, I don't exactly remember it. I'll just copy, yeah. So yeah, this is the URL here, and yeah, so this is the URL here. Okay, and obviously it will the data will be a promise. It will provide me a promise. So what I'll do is I'll just take the data and write data.json, but I'll again have to write await here. So obviously the people who don't know the async await, you know, syntax should definitely read about promises, async await, these kind of things, because these are really necessary. Otherwise you won't be able to, you know, crack the interview. Yeah, so obviously stick to your fundamentals, sharpen your skills, basics, and then only you can, you know, get good at it. Okay. Okay, so as I have my set results here, so what I'm doing here is I'm just fetching the data from here and then getting my JSON. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll just set the results here, JSON dot products. Yeah, so as I'm taking this one, I'll not dive deep into this particular API response, but this response gives us JSON.products. Okay, so you can obviously console log here. I can obviously console log here. I can console log and show it to you. Console log JSON. I can console log and show it to you here, but obviously you cannot see it right now because I haven't shown the results here somewhere, right? Yeah. Okay, so what I'll do is okay, I should take this only. This is not needed. Yeah. Okay, so what I can do here is I can take a div here. I can take a div here and write a class name of, say, this should be the results, you know, results, that it can be a results container, and I'm still thinking what to do. Okay, so okay, let's first do the input. So what I'll do is, for the input, I'll just copy this. Okay, this would be the, can I say, this could be the input, and this could be the set input, right? So the input is obviously a string. The input is obviously a string. Yeah. So what I'll do is, I'll just provide the value here. The value is input, and obviously I have to take an on change here. On change would be set input, sorry, e dot target dot value. Yeah, so I'm reading the input value from here and setting the input value here. So the input functionality is done. Like what I'll do, I'll just, if I type something, I'll get the input. Okay. So let's come to the results showing part. Okay, so what I'll do is, I have already taken a results container here, a div. Then I can take another div. Like you can take an li also, but I'm just taking a div, you know, to, or else not a div. I can take a, okay, not a div, I can take a span also, right? Let me take a span here. Span. Okay, so then I'll loop through the span here. Okay, so results dot map, say result, okay, sorry, I'll just provide this here. Okay, let me give the key here, result dot id, and it would be the result dot title. I think it would be the title, right? Okay, so I have taken a results container here, and then the span key also. The span also, I have provided the key, I have provided the title. Okay, so obviously you can ask me like, from where am I getting this? So if you just, you know, just enter this API URL onto the browser, then you can see everything. So it's a JSON basically. So it's a JSON of products, and in the products I have ID, title, everything there. There is everything. You can just go and check it out. Like obviously it will take a lot of time for me to explain everything. That is the reason I'm not just explaining these things to you. Okay, so I've taken a span. Obviously I can take a class name here also. So let's say it would be a class name named result. Like the single, this is the results container and this is the result. Okay, so in order to show the data, I'll have to, you know, take a use effect here. Use effect. I'm taking a use effect here, and I'm taking the dependency array. So whenever my input will change, I'll call the data, you know. Okay, I'll just ignore this one. So at the initial stage, what I'll do is, I'll just fetch the data here. Okay. Okay, so okay, so when I'm fetching the data here, I can, you know, check the console also. I can check the console here. Inspect. I can check the console here. Okay. Is there some kind of a problem? Let me see. Yeah, so as you can see here, there was some kind of a problem with the browser. So yeah, as you can see here, I have the products, and then inside the products it's an array, and then inside it I have everything here, the name, title. See, this is the title, so this is what I'm showing here. Okay, so obviously this looks ugly. I have to make it a little better. So what I'll do is I'll I'll just style it up. Okay. Okay, so what was the name here? The name was results container. Okay, let me take the results container here. Okay. So as the search input is 400 pixel, the results container should also be 400 pixel. Okay, so is it left aligned? Okay, it is left aligned. So what I'll do is margin auto. Yeah, so it is coming to the middle. Okay, so what else I can do? So I need a border, right? I need a border here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take a border 1px solid black. Yeah, okay, so I have taken a border, but why is it coming like this? Okay, let's take padding also. Padding 5 px. Oh, cool. It looks nice now. So what I can do now? Okay, so when I type something, like obviously the results should be, uh, one would be up and then like sequentially, like top to bottom, right? Not like this. So obviously, if I want to like stack it up, what I can do is, okay, so what I can do is I can take result, that was the right result. Yeah, it is result. So what I'll do is I'll take result, and obviously, yeah, as this is a span, so what I'll do, I'll set display block. Yeah, nice, cool. Display block. What else I can do? Obviously it should be left, right? Text line should be left. Yeah, nice. Again, like I can provide a little bit of padding also. Padding 4px. Yeah, this looks nice. Okay, so another thing, if you notice, like when I'm hovering through it, it should light the background color. There should be a background color to highlight, So what I'll do is, what I can do is, I'll have to write a CSS class for hovering. Okay, so result slash hover. Okay, so well, when I'll hover, I'll just want it to, have a cursor pointer. Yeah, it's nice. And I can have a background color of bisque. Yeah, bisque or light. What about this one? Yeah, it looks nice. Okay, and yeah, that's about it. I'm just, obviously when I'm hovering over it, like you can see which one I'm indicating now. Yeah, so this is the basic layout, you know and obviously when in an interview, the interviewer is expecting something from you, you cannot use, tailwind or something, those libraries. Most of the interviews that I have faced, the interviewer always wanted raw css. So in these kind of interviews, they actually check your UI skills as well, like how good you are with raw css. So obviously you have to practice your css skills as well, not only React or JavaScript, but CSS skills are really necessary for the interviews. So but still, I my suggestion would be to, focus on the functionality more rather than like focusing on the polishing of the UI or everything. The functionality should be the first priority and then the looks. So this is the bare minimum thing that it looks nice, right? Or you can obviously polish it up, but as you don't have much time in your hand, so this one is okay, I think. Okay, so now so there are some tweaks that we can do here, like obviously improvements, more improvements, right? When I type something, then obviously I want, you know, okay, this does not look good. I have to do some other stuff also, like it is taking the whole page, you know. So I can provide a height. I can provide a height here. So what I can do is I'll provide a max height. Max height, what I can say, max height, say 400 px. Okay, now, okay, so it's overflow, right? So overflow y. I can provide a scroll. Yeah, nice, nice. So yeah, it looks nice, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's about it for the UI. Okay, now, so the thing that we want to implement, the functionality is when I'm typing something here, then I'll have the results here, right? So the initial fetching is done using the dependency array here, the empty dependency array. But when my input is going to change, then obviously these values will also change, right? So in order to do that, I'll have to provide the dependency array, the input in the dependency array, and obviously I'll have to provide the input here also, right? I'll have to provide the input here also. So when I'm providing something here, see, the things are changing. Yeah, so my API is getting called and then everything is changing. See, when I write apple, so I'm getting the things for apple. If I write something else, if I write egg, then I'm getting for eggs. If for example I write red, then I'm getting red lipstick, red nail polish, these things. Yeah, so obviously when I'm writing something, things are getting filtered here, right? So the APIs are being called. Okay, so the basic functionality is done, but still a lot of improvements are needed here. Okay, so the next improvement that the interviewer can ask you here is, like when you are, you know, pressing on the outside, this should not be shown, but when you are pressing on the on here, the focusing on here, the list will show. So how to do that? So in order to do that, we'll use two methods, two you know, handlers, event handlers. One is onBlur and onFocus. So these, both of these are input methods. So for example, I'll just first use onBlur. Okay, before doing that, I'll have to take a state to, you know, I'll have to take a state to determine like if we should show the result or not. Show result, then set show result. Okay, so this would be a boolean. First of all, it would be false in the initial state. Okay, so we'll only show that this part only if the show result is true. Okay. We'll only show the result, only show the results if this one is true. So see, now you cannot see anything. And yeah, so yeah, now we'll go back to the input element. So I'll say onBlur. If you take onBlur, this is another handler. Here, what you will do, so here we will set the show result to true, right? Sorry, it would be false, because onBlur, what onBlur does is, like when I'm clicking outside, on the outside, the onBlur is triggered, but when I am focusing on the inside, so here set show result would be true. So what would happen now? Tell me what would happen now. So when I'm focusing on this, see, it's the list is showing, but when I'm pressing outside, the onBlur is triggered and the set show result is false, so I cannot see anything. When I'm focusing, I'm seeing something, and when I'm pressing outside, it's disappearing. So yeah, it's a really handy thing, right? So this is one functionality, the one improvement I would say, or enhancement the interviewer might ask you to do. Okay, so what's the next thing that you can see or you can do in this component? Like obviously the interviewer might ask you, like for example, if the interviewer asks me, Samin, uh, you have already implemented it, but can you tell me what are the problems regarding the performance and everything? Like, is everything working fine here? And I would say no, obviously no, because first of all, I'm seeing this, and like when I'm typing, for example, I'm typing and the API is getting called like in every keystroke. So if I show it to you, yeah, you can see the console here. Okay, let me show you the console here. Yeah, so if I show you, if I console log the input here, API called, sorry, API called input. Okay, okay, so let's, when I'm typing something, for example, yeah, let's show it to you from the beginning. Yeah, yeah, so initially I'm getting the API, right? So when I'm pressing something, see, the API is getting called. Okay, I'm just going to remove this one. Yeah, so when I'm pressing something, the API is getting called. See, I have written Apple here, and every time I'm like hitting a letter, the API is getting called APP, AP, AAP, APP, APPL, then Apple. Like it's getting called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So if I write, then MacBook Pro, like for every keystroke, the API is getting called. So just think of it this way. You might say like it's not an issue or something, but let's imagine one scenario. You have an application and there are 1,000 users in that, and in this kind of a search bar, 1,000 users are like searching multiple things and writing a lot of stuff. I mean, let's say they're typing JavaScript, web, API, these kind of things, right? And in every keystroke, the API is getting called. Can you imagine like how many API calls would be there? So it's a very bad performance for an application. So now the interviewer might ask you, like, how would you optimize this performance? So here, in order to optimize this, we would implement something called debouncing. So yeah, this is a very advanced technique, and obviously it's used in most of the applications nowadays. So I'll just give you a brief like overview what a debouncing is. Like when I'm typing, for example, I'm typing apple, right? So now as you can see, it's getting called, the API is getting called in every keystroke. But what if if I implement debouncing, what it would do is I'll just provide a timer, a delay of some sort, and after I type all of this apple and again take a pause and write something else, for example MacBook, then the difference between this these keystrokes and this keystroke, the difference between them, I'll just calculate that and then call the API. So for example, what I'm trying to say is, for example, if I write apple, once I write apple, only then the API would be called, not in every keystroke. And when I take a pause and then again write MacBook, for example, then after writing MacBook, the API would be called. So see, when I'm writing Apple MacBook, the API might get called for Apple once, and again for MacBook, again the API would be called. So it would be called twice. But if I don't do anything for now, like the implementation that is, as you can see now, the API would be called how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times it would be called. So it's a major, major flaw in the implementation. So let's implement debouncing. So what we will do is, in order to implement debouncing, we'll take a timer. As I told you, we'll just provide a delay here. I'll provide a timer here, and then I'll take a set timeout. Set timeout to provide the delay. Okay. So I'll provide a delay of 400 milliseconds and provide the fetch data here. So what set timeout does is, it takes the callback here and takes the delay or the timer here, and after this certain time it will call this function. So this is what set timeout does. Basically it creates a delay. So what I'm doing here is I'm providing a 400 milliseconds of timer here, and then I'm calling the fetch data. So what it will do is, it will trigger the fetch data after 400 milliseconds. It will just delay it. Okay. So as I'm taking a timer in the use effect, so it's a very good thing to always clear the timer. So sorry, we'll always have to clear the timer once we set it. Do you know what why did I do this? Because when you set a timer in the use effect, or you set an interval and you do not clear it, when you go from one page to another, it works in the background. So obviously your performance is compromised in your application. A lot of people, a lot of React developers don't know it, but if you read about it and go dive deep into it, you'll get to know, like, when you are using a set interval or a set timeout or anything in the use effect, you always need to return and do the cleanup. So this syntax, what it's doing is, it's doing a cleanup. So when I'm setting it, so after this the functionality is done here, I'll just clear the timeout. Only then your performance will be optimized. Okay, so if I just come here and test it out again, so yeah, so this is my debouncing here. I have just done my debouncing here. Now if I check, for example, I'm typing APPL. See, the apple is being called, the API is being called once. And if I write again, MACBB, see, Apple MacBook. So this is called once, and then again this one is called, because obviously there is a certain delay, 400 milliseconds. And obviously the interviewer might ask you, why 400 milliseconds? Why not more or less? So 400 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds, it's basically a sweet spot, like for a good user experience. Obviously if I provide 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second actually, so it would take a lot of time for the API to be called. See, if I write Apple, I'm sitting, then it is called. Again, if I write MacBook, see, it's taking a bit of more delay. So that is why it's better to write 300 or 400. So I have provided 400. So again, if I check, for example, if I write essence, so I'm writing essence, see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So I typed 7 letters here, but the API was called only once. So this is a very good UX and also a very good performance. So now it's almost optimized. I won't say it's like totally optimized, the performance optimization is really great, but it's a lot more optimized than the previous implementation. Yeah. So this was all about this component here today, and obviously it took me a lot of time, I know, but you'll get 40 to 45 minutes max to implement it, because the interviewer might ask you to further explain stuff, or like grill you more. Like one functionality more the interviewer might ask you is, like, after you implemented debouncing, as you can see, when I'm hitting the backspace here, it's again called, like the API is getting called again. Obviously when I typed ESSENCE, or for example, let me give you a better example. Let's say red, I'm typing this one, red lipstick, red nail polish. Okay, I'm typing red, the red is called. Again I'm typing nail, red nail is called, right? So when I hit backspace on this one, I'm hitting backspace on this one, so red is again called. The API is called with this input again, but it was already called with red, so it's calling it again with the same input. Like, isn't it like, what can I say, repetitive or something? So what I can do, like the interviewer might ask you, what can you do to improve this? So this is where you can implement caching. So you need to implement caching to prevent this. So you can ask the interviewer, like, should I do caching with the local storage, or like cookies, or session storage, or something else? Like, this is a very advanced topic that I'm talking about now, but these are the things the interviewer might grill you up, and might check, like, how much can you go, like how much depth of knowledge you have. So I'm not going to focus on that today, as the video is getting a very a bit long. So I'll just end it here today, and that's a wrap for this episode of the Front-End Machine Coding series. If you found this helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next challenge. Got questions or ideas for future episodes? Drop them in the comments. I read every single one. Until next time, keep building, keep leveling up, one line of code at a time. Assalamu alaikum.